There we go. So these are Firkin-esque questions. So what is a Firkin? A Firkin is a small cask. It's 10 gallons, 10.8 gallons, and it's usually made with some ales, real beer. It's not carbonated, so it gets carbonated in the keg. You don't force carbonate it. And it's usually, sometimes you can oak it, or you can put some wood age or whatever in there. But it's basically, it's served in the cask, so it's a cask ale. And there is no pump, there's no CO2 you put on it. It is gravity fed. See, I got too many hands now. I need more hands. Yeah, you want to hold that up? So Greg brewed the Firkin for Big Brew, and basically there's a big hole on top called the bung hole. There's a hole in the side called the
other bung hole.
No, the keystone, basically. So you put the cap through the keystone. You put the bung in the bung hole. You put that, and that goes in the keystone. You put the big one in the bung. You hammer it down with a Firkin hammer. And basically, when it comes time, you get ready to brew your beer. You brew your beer. It takes about 2 weeks to brew into the. You let it ferment for however long you're going to let it set in the primary. Secondary, you're going to put it in here. You're going to put both the bungs in, and you're going to let it set at about 55 degrees for about 2 weeks or longer. The first thing you're going to do is you want to clarify it. So you want to have some sort of fining agent. I think Greg used some gelatin. You can use isinglass. You can use a whole bunch of different things. There's another one that is vegetarian or vegan called now I forgot it. Okay, so and what's it called in regular language?
It's basically sand.
So is biofine? Biofine?
Biofine is something else.
Biofine clear.
Biofine has isinglass.
Okay.
Biofine clear.
Biofine clear is silica.
Biofine clear, so it is vegan. So
Polyclear, would that work too?
Polyclear would work also. If you want to dry hop it, Greg dry hopped his. Make sure you put your dry hops in a bag. Make sure you put something in there to weight them down. He used marbles. You can use stainless steel washers or stainless steel nuts so you can sanitize them, put them in the bag. But the general idea is when the Firkin is going, it's sitting like this. So it's gravity feeding all the stuff, all the bad stuff, all the trough is going to sit in the bottom over where it comes in to feed in. There is also in here, there's also a fine screen, so when you open it up, it's not going to get all the crap that normally comes out. And then there's a vent. So you just get pounded into the top of it, and you can open it up or close it. The big deal behind the Firkin is you want to let it set where you're going to have it for a day before you actually tap it. Okay? What's that? Ideally.
Let it set.
It's really nice. Chris was really nice. He let us put the Firkin there the night before. Do the Brew Brothers, oh, look at that. Do the Brew Brothers really own a Firkin? No, we own a pin. This is 4.5 gallons. A Firkin is 5.4. It's that dyslexia, man. Sorry. So we do not own a Firkin. We call it a pin. We call it a Firkin, though, because it's
Everybody
cool.
likes saying Firkin.
That's right. What kind of beer should I do? Normally it's an English ale, an IPA, a brown, some sort of real ale that's not force carbonated. But you're not limited to anything. Can you put a sour in the Firkin? No. No, you cannot brew a sour for the Firkin. If you ask this question, that's probably how most of your beers turn out anyway. Do not put sours in the Firkin. This is known as Firking up the Firkin. You will be excommunicated from the Brew Brothers and forced to join the rock company. That's what happens. It's usually served around 55 degrees, cellar temperature. You can call me, you can email me to schedule a Firkin after July 14th, 15th. When's it end? 14th, 15th, 16th is Salida. After that, it's open and free. So any club meeting, the consumables, the bungs, and all the other stuff, the club provides all of that. Oh, you bet you do. Oh, see,
$25.
25 bucks for the ingredients. And you get a pint. So brew a big beer. The club's paying for it.
You only get 25.
You only get $25.
Okay. Brew a medium beer. No, actually,
Actually, brew a really small one and then you make a profit.
that's right.
Up to 25.
Okay.
Just put water in there and pop it.
So the deal is, you actually don't want to brew that big of a beer for the Firkin because it takes longer to carbonate naturally. So it is cask conditioned. You can use priming sugar. You can't force carbonate it. You can poison it if you want to save some. I'm never smart enough to save some from the last time I brewed. So usually I just use priming sugar. What if you have any questions? I do have a Firkin manual, and as they say, RTFM, read the Firkin manual. So you can do a lot of Googling on it. Brewing TV has a Firkin section. That's a pretty good 10-minute, little quick time movie. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks after the primary, so you're going to put it in the secondary, put your findings in it, put your carbonation in it, put the bung back in it, and let it go. And then the problem with the Firkin is you don't know how it's going to turn out. Greg, it turned out wonderful. When I do it, I'm not so sure. So, is there a checklist? Yes, I have an entire checklist. I can hand them out. I think you put the checklist online.
On our main website, there's a whole Firkin section.
Oh, there's a Firkin section on the website. So, and are there any more Firkin questions?
Yeah, I was going to have you talk about the bleeder.
The bleeder. All right.
And letting off that.
So basically, you want to pound this in, hopefully a day beforehand. And you're going to pound it into the top, and it just
It goes with the
all right. So there's actually a hole for it. Pound it in, and then you can actually start bleeding it very slowly the night before.
I would actually go maybe 2 or 3 days before.
2 or 3 days if you can. I mean, I'm going to bring it. Yes, sir.
Do we have to use that, or do you have bamboo spiles for?
No, we don't.
The directions talk about the bamboo, the hard file and the soft file. We don't use either one of those. We just
If you want to buy hard and soft ones, that's fine. This is easier. The hard and soft ones are about 6 to 8 cents a piece.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's cool if you want to buy
This one
a
has
bunch.
the advantage that you can
This one you can open it up and
close
close
it,
it and shut
transport,
it.
and so it doesn't
Yeah.
foam out.
So that's good. And you did yours what, a day or 2 beforehand?
Yeah, I did the day before.
And then you transport it to Pikes Peak?
Yeah, exactly. I hammered that in.
Right.
I let it off for a little while. I took it to Pikes Peak. I let it bleed off when I got there.
And then we were able to open it and bleed it off a little bit more. And once you actually get it flowing, it flowed great. And it tasted great. So yes.
So if you break that tongue and
That's
Well,
also
that's-
starting up.
That's the problem. We have several of these, and we're buying more of these. We only have right now 1 tap. We only have 1 of these. Hopefully we can buy some more. Hopefully the president will actually
Spend some money.
buy a Firkin hammer also, because the one you were using,
That was a little bit.
this one is actually Harbor Freight, $6, $8. Maybe he could splurge for that. On the that, yes.
Do you know what the pressure capacity on, I guess, one of the bungs, the Keystone is coming in?
200, I don't know. I have no idea. I can make something up, but. Yeah, Greg, tell us about
One thing I'll say is that when you put the big bone in, make sure it gets all the way flush. Make sure you hammer it all the way in as far as it'll go, and the same goes for the Keystone bone. It doesn't seem like it wants to go that far in, but it will if you hammer it hard enough. And that's pretty important.
And if you have a little bigger hammer, and I really like these, it's, you know.
Yeah, I wish I'd had one of those. It would make life a lot simpler.
Hey Bob, I have a Firkin question.
Yes.
When I did it, after we emptied it and everything else, how do we get the bungs back out? Because I had a hell of a time getting the bungs. Does anybody have a process that makes it easy?
Yes. A screwdriver, and I just hit it flush. So I just basically, when it was sitting in there, a screwdriver, I hit it down. They make a special tool for it, but it's not. I mean, when you get about half of this off, I just pried it out. So it worked for me pretty well.
Is that on the checklist?
It's on the checklist. Cleaning, it's on the checklist. I just used PBW and a carboy brush. It works very well. Sanitized it after that, and I'm ready to give it to Lefty. Anybody? Any other questions?
And the tap, you just hammer it in.
The tap.
Lefty, you get the picture?
So here, let me.
You? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So the tap, you can take out. You're going to leave it closed. You're going to hammer it in. You're going to put the actual tap back on it. Does anybody have a beer engine? A what? I didn't think so. A beer engine. They have one at, and it's made for serving out of the Firkin. But they have one at what's that? Down Canyon has one. So it's the thing they're sitting there, they're pumping. Okay, that's a beer engine. You can also use that with them. You put the tap back in, and then to open it, you can. Yes.
How afraid of we have Brettanomyces?
Running into what?
Brettanomyces. If you were going to do an English style with Brettanomyces.
We're not. We don't put sours in there.
It's not sour, it's yeast.
Okay? It makes a sour beer, so don't. It will be a rock hopper pretty soon. I can see it.
I think we need to clarify sours. No Brett. No Brett, no PDO, no lacto. No wild stuff either.
You can use Sayville 05 or maybe 04. No, I'm just
SO4, SO5, and WLP 001. That's it.
No, just yes, sir.
How come we don't want to put our beer?
Because it'll sour up the Firkin, and the next beer will taste like it.
It's the PBW
Tap.
It'll also mess up the tap. You ever put root beer in one of your corny kegs?
Oh, that's it.
You can never put root beer in you can never put a beer in there. It'll always have that root beer taste. The lines that you have will always have that root beer.
You can always pasteurize it.
Okay. No sour.
If you really want to do a sour and a Firkin, go get your own.
Go get your own. Or borrow one from the rock hopper.
That's what we should do, actually. Part of the winnings for the range homebrew competition is that you get the Firkin for each there. They have a roving Firkin, so we need to try to win that. We'll go all balls to the wall for that one.
That is a good idea.
We can sour the crap out of that.
Any other Firkin questions? Yes, no? Hey, I've always started drinking. Can we drink?
All right, support Hatch Cover, buy raffle tickets. Bring your beer up here if you got stuff to say.
Sky Sox tickets.
Buy Sky Sox tickets. All right, over and out. Drink beer.
Thank you guys.
So, to the club, it's enough for me.
We decided to buy one.
I would.